So in this video, I have a very special guest, the Chief Growth Officer of Passage, Bobby Green. And this is one of the best opportunity I think international students have now to kind of, come to Canada, especially when funds have become a major issue. So I came across Passage and then, it's great to have this conversation. So why don't you introduce yourself and just tell us one of few things about Passage, like the big overview of what the guys are into.
No, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me. It's a real pleasure, and I'm super excited to get started and start helping people. Why don't I take a step back and kind of explain who we are and how Passage got started and what we're all about. So we've actually been in the study abroad space for a while. Martin, our founder, and myself and a couple of the people who started Passage, first kind of learn more about the study abroad experience through Applyboard. Applyboard is a great company in Canada started by three brothers from Iran who did the whole study abroad journey themselves, went through all the trials, all the tribulations, and started helping cousins, then started helping friends of friends, built it up into a great technology company here in Canada. And while we were building Applyboard, we kept coming across this problem again and again. And that problem was we were meeting these incredible people from Africa, from LATAM, from Southeast Asia, and we couldn't help them because they did not have the money to study abroad.
Okay.
And we tried a bunch of different ways to solve this problem. We tried to go get banks to do it. We tried to go get fintechs to do it. And nobody would do it. So eventually,
Okay.
the core group of us just got obsessed with this problem and asked ourselves, what would it take to allow us to ensure that anybody anywhere in the world, if you're really smart and you're ambitious, how do you get access to opportunities to improve your life?
Okay.
And that was kind of the beginning of everything. We've been working on Passage for about a year now. We've launched
Wow.
helping students all over the world come into Canada for programs in labor shortage. This is really important because of all of the sweeping regulation changes across the provincial and federal government over the last couple of weeks. Basically, Canada is trying to reorient its immigration program to help solve structural labor shortages in Canada.
That's great.
The message is really aligned to make sure that more people can get access, but that we're making sure things are aligned with where the country wants to go.
So when I kind of just heard the news about when the immigration minister was talking about, doing some of these courses that don't really have those economic benefit, I was like, it seems like, Passage was kind of very visionary in terms of just kind of filling those space and, making sure whatever courses or program they know are going to have that economic benefit is something that they're going to get involved in, which is really amazing. So, yeah. So the other thing I wanted to ask in terms of collaboration, just want to talk about some of the, maybe collaborations with you had with maybe industry, with the government, with the bank. So can you kind of brief me about, how that had, I don't, it was a bit lot of work, try to convince them, that, yeah, this is something worthwhile and it's time to get something like this going.
No, it's a great point. I mean, obviously, it's a hugely sensitive and pretty important thing in people's lives. At Applyboard, we worked with most of the schools across Canada, many across US and UK and Australia. We work with the biggest banks in Canada. So frankly, a lot of our relationships and our knowledge of the sector in terms of everything about how higher education works in Canada, how the economy, what jobs are good, what cities are good and maybe more challenging to get jobs in. A lot of that is coming because we've been in this space since 2015. So
Oh,
even though
wow.
Passage is new, we've had these relationships across the sector for 8 years now. So if you think of what Passage does today and who do we need to work with to allow this to all happen, Passage needs to work with schools around the country,
Okay.
needs to work with financial partners. Students will have to, send money across border. They need to do things like get a GIC sometimes. They need to
Yeah.
pay tuition deposit. They need to set up bank accounts. They need to get a loan. All of these different things obviously touch different financial institutions like banks. So Passage kind of sits in between and uses technology to connect all of these things together. really with one core goal is how do we get awesome people access to money where they otherwise would not?
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. A lot of most of the videos that I've done has kind of been geared towards, addressing this issue of finance and funds. And you see a lot of incredible people with great talent, great skills, great ability. And the only challenge they have is, where do I get the money to show IRCC that I have, the required funds to be able to study in Canada, especially now that, the cost of living just recently increased to about 20,000,
Yeah.
for one person. So it seems like the dreams of a lot of people, were kind of shattered just hearing that news. So if I were an individual and I'm kind of watching this video and I'm kind of thinking, if I want to get started, okay, so what are the process involved in terms of maybe signing up, doing school admission, maybe what documents, am I going to be getting from Passage in terms of maybe for use for proof of fund? Because that's a question people ask, that what documents are they going to be having that they can show to us that, okay, we have this money, or this organization, they say they're going to be giving us this money. So if you can just give a breakdown of that process, it would be much appreciated.
I think of it like this. There's three major applications you need to go from any country to study in Canada. You have
Okay.
the school application, the
Yes.
loan application if you need financing, and then the study permit or visa application, right? There's those three. So we look at it in two different streams. One stream is the students going for technical master's degree programs at some of the best schools in Canada, like U of Toronto, Waterloo, and so on. So I'll start with that one first. So in that stream, we expect students to actually have already gone through the school application process and have received
Okay.
a letter of acceptance.
Oh, okay.
Then come on to Passage, and they can quickly check how much of a loan is possible given the program that they're going to.
Okay.
And then once they have confirmed that they want to pursue a loan through Passage for a specific program, you can quickly find it at app.passage.com. You can hit start application. There's going to be some basic information that you'll already have put together, given that you've gotten LOA already.
Okay.
Part of the loan application process is uploading that LOA. Passage obviously needs to make sure that it's a real document before we
Do
can.
they verify those letter of acceptance from the institution? Like,
Yeah, absolutely. Look,
okay.
any time you are giving money out and it's associated with something sensitive like immigration, it's really important that you realize that trust and money come hand in hand.
That's right. Yeah.
For us to help more people, we have to make sure that we can distinguish the people who are genuine students and the
Exactly.
fraudulent actors trying to do bad things in the system.
Exactly.
Passage cares a lot about this, partially because we have stringent regulations in Canada on the finance side, but honestly, because it's important to allow people from places that are less immigration prone. So obviously, places like India and China have so many people coming abroad.
That's right.
There's more established processes. But if you're from countries where there's less behavior to emigrate today, Passage needs to make sure that governments around the world, starting with Canada, can figure out who are trustworthy and who are not, to make sure that the good people are rewarded and the bad people are punished.
Okay. That's good. So let's say for those that are going for colleges, so if they've gone through this loan application process and they're approved, so what kind of document will be given to them for, their study permit application?
Yeah, we call it the Passage Pass. So basically, when you go to submit your study permit, they want to see things like the letter of acceptance, your positioning statement, all of this kinds of stuff. A big part of that application is called the proof of financial support. Essentially,
Yes.
the government wants to make sure that you have enough money coming with you so that you can financially support yourself while in Canada. This obviously makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
But there's a trust factor here again. Like I'll go back to this point. One of the methods you can use to show that you've got the money is to, upload some bank statements. Another is you can get a letter from a family member and so on and so on. Not all of these have the same amount of trust imbued in them, right? Like the government feels some of them are more legitimate than others. One of the more legitimate ways, if you think about it, is to show to the government that the full amount of money you need is vouched for by a Canadian business with a Canadian bank account.
That's
This is a
right.
big part of actually how we built the loan, is to make sure that we can show the full amount that the student needs to show to the government during the study permit process, and to make sure that Passage can vouch as a business in Canada on that student's behalf.
Oh, that's amazing. So these funds, does it so the calculation, does it include the tuition and the cost of living? Let's say if it's a 2 years program, so is the calculation going to be the 2 years tuition and the cost of living for 2 years, or just a year?
Yeah, the strict requirement today is obviously the tuition in the first year living cost.
Yeah.
So that's important for people to know, because for budgeting purposes, you got to make sure you can think of how to support yourself throughout the whole journey. The
Yeah.
process for the visa specifically covers these aspects. So this is what Passage makes sure we cover with the student.
Okay, that's good. So maybe for those that are maybe planning to come with family members, maybe for those that are applying for masters or PhD, so this loan, whatever amount they get is only going to be covering themselves. So they have to kind of figure out, their dependent cost of living, right?
Passage loans technically will cover tuition and living expenses, but what we don't do is give the full amount for the course and living. So
Okay.
again, there's two situations, one for these technical master's programs and one for the college. Maybe let me touch quickly on both, since that's
Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
The U15 are the special case. And so the loan is going more directly for living costs, actually. The college one is meant to cover both tuition and living costs. But it's important to know that the students must contribute some cash as collateral to get the loan. This is obviously important for this trust element. All around the world, unfortunately, people have a high incentive to do bad things to get a lot of money. And
Yeah.
so to make sure that we can flag the genuine students, we make sure that they commit some cash to Passage. This is how we can show the government that all of the money is accounted for. But it also dissuades the people who are fraudulent and want to be bad actors,
Yeah.
not work with Passage.
Okay, that's it. So in a situation, so all of this have to be done before study permit application. So in a situation where maybe for any reason, somebody's study permit got refunded, so there's going to be a process, and the person doesn't want to reapply again. So whatever contribution that person has made to Passage is going to be refunded to the person.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah,
Okay.
it's faster.
Okay, that's good. And then, so another thing in terms of the tuition deposit, a lot of the colleges these days, once to apply for admission, they always want you to get to pay the tuition deposit. So that's still going to be handled by Passage.
Yeah, it's hard to speak to, every course and every school. Schools are obviously the people who get to decide the specific policies that they follow. So in all this advice, kind of if it's legal or immigration, you should make sure you're looking at IRCC website or talking with regulated professionals. So let me just say that for the courses that require the tuition deposit, Passage will work with students.
Okay. That's good. And then in terms of the choice of course, you mentioned about courses that are labor market, have really high demand in the market. So when the students wants to study like a specific course, then when the person reach out to you guys, then you let the person know these are the available courses, in this, college, and then they can kind of see how that course relates to what they want to do, right?
Yeah, exactly. So you can go to passage.com or app.passage.com if you want to see the total programs we offer. But
Okay.
think of it like this. For immigration to continue to be an option for people all around the world, it's two-sided. Obviously, we care a lot about making sure good, genuine, hardworking students all around the world have the same access regardless of how much money your family has. But on the other side, it's important for immigration as an institution to exist you have to make sure that people in Canada feel like they're getting something out of the next kind of international student coming in. And in my opinion, this has been a little out of whack in Canada, UK, and other places over the last few years. And that's because it's wrong, frankly speaking, to convince a student who can't know the nuances of the Canadian economy to sign up to spend a bunch of money, go to a program, and then not find the job that they were hoping for.
Yeah.
So what Passage does is we are a lot more careful about trying to say, hey, if a program is on Passage, we've gone through a vigorous vetting process where we make sure that the program is attached with a legitimate institution.
Okay.
That program is connected to a job shortage area in Canada. This means that when you graduate, you actually have a pretty good chance of getting relevant employment. But three, that the program is graduating students, but they're also landing students in relevant high-paying jobs after they graduate. That's what's required for Passage to even work with the program. So that's just the basics. So we care about aligning the students' expectations with reality is what we're trying to do.
Okay, that's good. So which means that already takes away from, in terms of people applying for certain colleges that may not be eligible for, or that don't offer postgraduate work permit eligible programs. So I assume definitely that all the colleges and institutions that Passage work with, they are, the colleges that when you graduate, you'll be able to get a work permit so that you can actually, work in Canada, and then, the whole purpose will be fulfilled, I guess.
Yeah, I guess I should say, if it isn't offered on Passage, it doesn't mean it's a bad program. It means we haven't vigorously gone through and said, yes, we'll offer it yet. So that's important. We're a small company right now, so we need to walk before we can run.
Okay. Yeah, that's important. It's important to take things step by step. So the other question I wanted to ask, people have also asked me, in some of my videos, in terms of, the loan repayment plan, if you can just touch on that, like how they plan to repay the loan. I know sometimes people will say, oh, when they're applying for study permit, if you are given a loan by any public institution or other, sometimes they may, public or private, they may just want to see an idea of how you're going to repay the loan back, right? So if you can just touch on that, more like a big level overview of the loan repayment process, that would be appreciated.
Yeah. So first the philosophy, and then I'll top into the loan part. So the whole idea of Passage is to kind of systematically, step by step, add new products and add new features that allow us to get access to more people in a way that's more affordable. So don't expect that we're at the finish line yet. We kind of earn our way there. Okay. Today, how the loan works is this simple summary is, you give me 15 and I say you've got 60, right? Okay. So 45 loan, 15 from you, 60 total. The loan sizing is based on the median salary of graduates. So we're kind of saying, hey, if you're a genuine student, you plan to come to Canada and do well, you have very good reason to believe if you work hard and apply yourself, you should be able to repay the loan comfortably. Okay. We also make sure that the payments and the payment schedule works. So the specifics, when you come to Canada, you will have to start making repayments while in school. That's a tough trade-off decision that we had to make. I won't go into too much of the details, but there's a lot of, pros and cons of doing different decisions here. But what we were careful about is to make sure that even though you've got to make payments during school, even if you go and get any sort of minimum wage job, you can more than comfortably repay and afford life in Canada. And so we wanted to make sure that the interest rates as low as possible, that the monthly payments were as low as possible. And kind of the best balance we could find was to make sure that students could get a basic job, handily repay, still go to school, graduate, get a relevant job, and be able to pay the loan comfortably after school.
That's good. That's good. It's I think it's pretty straightforward. So the other thing I wanted to ask, in terms of the reach, are there like specific, is there a limitation or limit to the countries? I mean, for a start, right? So are there specific countries at the moment where that are eligible just overall?
Yeah.
Uh,
No, that's a great question. So we are live in honestly most countries in the world. The main
okay,
places we can help today are countries currently in Europe, so the GDPR region,
okay,
and then areas in strict financial sanctions on the
okay,
Canadian government side. So
okay.
examples of countries we can't yet help are Russia, Iran, Zimbabwe, and a few others. If you go to the website, we have a full list
Okay.
of the countries we can help and not help.
Oh, okay, okay. That's good. I hope Nigeria is definitely among,
It is, don't you worry.
Uh, no, okay, that's good. I know a lot of my viewers are from Nigeria, and, a few other countries. So if you're from Nigeria, don't be afraid. You should be eligible for in terms of applying and moving things forward.
Yeah, I think it's all about allowing good people to help good people, right?
That's right. Yeah,
Eventually, if we want to get this to everybody, we have to penetrate to rural villages, not just in big cities like Lagos, but into smaller towns that are maybe less known for the education and
yeah,
immigration. So the only way we can do this is frankly prove to the world that we can do this really well, us
exactly.
trust, and then get their help to tell the next generation, their friends, their younger cousins, to spread the word so that all people who are capable, willing, hardworking have this access. I need
Yeah,
everybody's help.
absolutely. Okay, that's good. So the other thing I wanted us to touch on is, when we talk about this labor, market shortage in Canada, there are, both we've talked about both STEM and trade. Maybe we can touch on that a little bit, since maybe some people from Nigeria or even maybe in other country, and I was kind of thinking if I have to come to Canada, I have to be doing software engineering, or I have to become a data scientist. And most of them don't even think about those other, trades area that is, actually pay well, right? So are there maybe a few programs in trade that are, maybe if you can just touch on some of the few programs that are available in trade, that people can kind of look into? Maybe those are already maybe doing that in their home country, and they don't have the educational experience to back it up, or maybe they're thinking, oh, this thing may not be as profitable, maybe for example plumbing or welding or carpentry. So when Canada, we kind of know how the market works, or maybe we can just touch on that a little bit.
Yeah, this is obviously a huge topic. So let me try my best to kind of paint the picture here.
Yeah.
The first point that I think is really important is it is not obvious how different the Canadian economy is versus countries around the world.
Yeah.
One example from something that comes up at work a lot, because a couple of the team members are from Iran,
Oh, okay.
we talk about how differently things are set up in terms of the status of physical jobs like a carpenter, an electrician, a plumber. And I think in middle income countries, those are generally lower wage jobs. But in Canada, they're paid higher than median.
Yeah.
They're quite well paid jobs, and they have a very different kind of social position in Canada. And so I can't cover all of the nuances here
Yeah.
today, but all I kind of urge you is when you're thinking about it, realize that the way things are in your home country aren't necessarily what they're like in Canada. But the good thing is you can look up wages at sites like Job Bank, and Passage is going to create more tools that help people think of this. But trades are actually very, very important, not only for Canada as a whole, but are great careers. You can make a lot of money and have a very comfortable life doing trades in Canada.
Yeah.
A few of the programs are around carpentry and precision and CNC. This is like machining. We have a computer technician. And obviously, you can go to app.passage.com and get the full list. But all of these have really great historical results in getting people into relevant employment that are paid somewhere between 55 to 75,000
Yeah.
up, right? So obviously, whenever you graduate, you start at the lowest amount of money you're going to make, and then you go up from there as you get experience and prove out your skills. Now, areas like Toronto, Alberta, and British Columbia tend to pay higher amounts they also have higher living expenses.
Yeah. Yeah.
But in some of these, the variation is quite high. So give me an example. If you go to places like where I grew up in more rural Ontario, it might be average to make, 55 to 60, 65,000 as say an electrician.
Yeah.
There are places in Alberta you can go right now and make 100.
Yeah. That's right. Yeah.
So again, it takes a little bit of research, but the point is that these jobs can be very well paid, especially for people who apply themselves and want to do a good job.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I was even planning to do a video on that, just kind of telling people, even kind of getting permanent residency these days when you graduate and start schooling, it's really tough because the scores are really high. But there is a very special stream for those that are in trade, and their express entry score is actually higher. So there is even more chances of actually getting your permanent residency. Of course, that's going to depend on a lot of factors, but just to be aware that there is a special, draw for those that are doing trade. So kind of thinking about that because people want to think about, oh, if I do plumbing, are you sure I can get a permanent resident? And or they're only looking for those who are doing white collar job and those, people that go to offices and all that. So that's kind of interesting. So another question I wanted to kind of think about is in terms of so with the admission, just to kind of get it clarified, with the admission, there is a platform to kind of you mentioned the loan and the admission are kind of together. So people with Miss will have to actually come and register with you guys, and then you do both the loan and the admission together. So the person don't have to do the admission separately, right?
Yeah, exactly. It's a really good point. So for the college programs, what we do is we kind of squish these two things together. A lot of the information is duplicated, right? Both require a passport, some information about where you live and your experience and so on. So whenever possible, we're going to try to make sure people don't have to do the same thing over and over again. This obviously helps us make things a little faster, a little bit more certain. So obviously a lot of work to do on the product side, and we're going to continue to make this better and better. But today, basically, you would enter some information that's required for that specific program. Passage does checks in the background while you're doing this to make sure the information is, matching the right format that the school's going to process, you're going to get approved. So once you kind of submit, we do some additional checks on the loan. This is like credit specific stuff. So if you're in a country where we have partnerships, we can check your credit history. It's sometimes used, sometimes not, depends on the country. You also have the opportunity, if you do know someone in Canada who wants to help you out with your application, you can have a Canadian PR or citizen be a guarantor for any amount of the money of the loan. Even if it's, $5,000, they can at least help you out a little bit. Once that's kind of all together, we make you do a KYC check. Again, this is that trust part. So we make sure, your passport and your face are matching. This is how we know it's actually you reviewing the information, submitting it to us. This way, when we pass it to the school who's going to do their job, they know that this student is a legitimate student. And this wasn't, somebody impersonated them, entered some information and sent it off without their knowledge. This forces accountability on the students, makes sure that this process is legitimate. This obviously is going to help the schools over time feel more comfortable with passage applications.
Exactly. Yeah.
You're going to, understand that our customers are legitimate, have fully complete applications, and also, have good indication that that person will have the money to actually afford their education. These are all things schools are looking for in their admission process.
Okay. That's interesting. Then once they get the admission with the loan and with the passage pass, then they can, do their visa application whichever way whether they want to use a representative or do it themselves. It's going to be up to them.
Absolutely. So let me try to summarize it for the audience. So if you're going to the college programs, again, there's 3 applications: the school application, the loan, the study permit. So we squeeze the school application and the loan together, and then we give you the passage pass which is part of the documents you need for the visa. Okay.
Okay.
For the people going to master's programs, they are going to have the school application already done before passage.
Yeah.
We are only going to handle the loan application for now. And then they're
Okay.
going to take that passage pass and use it for the study permit.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. So, so you guys are kicking off with the fall of 2024 admission, and so is it going to be both like all year round, like fall, winter, spring, depending on whatever study is available in the school, right? For the college.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. We're trying to build the technology to allow access. Most of the things are done by the school themselves, the program, the degree,
Yeah.
whether they're starting in, September or January or May. And we're just going to allow people to access the right programs.
Okay. Okay. That's good. It's, it must have been tough trying to set up all of this, because I visited the website. I was like, this is a lot of work, try to put in all this information and design systems. So just a little bit off topic, how difficult was this to create a unique platform like this?
A lot. So this team, I feel like, honestly, I'm blown away. Everyone on this team cares so much. Almost everybody has had a journey where they've had to migrate across borders. I've been working with international students, interviewing them, hundreds and hundreds of international students, hearing about the depths of the journey and how hard every single person's journey that comes here. They have gone through so much. And so I think all of us are so passionate about solving this problem. And then the nerd side of us are so in love with how hard it is to make all the math work, all of the systems work together so that we can convince governments and schools to accept people from a rural village in the middle of nowhere that has never seen immigration before. It's just an incredibly hard thing to do. That's obviously why it's not done today. In most countries around the world, there aren't really financing options, period.
Yeah.
Some countries like India have had more immigration, and so the banks have kind of figured out how to do loans for some subset of the population. But when we're talking about middle-class people like nurses or tradespeople, these options don't exist.
Yeah.
So we are really the first ones out there trying to figure out how to get more people access. It's really, really hard. We work really hard, and we're going to make mistakes, and we're going to try to make sure we fix them as soon as we know about them. So I'll kind of always say this. We know a fair bit, but there's a lot we don't know. When you see something that could be done better, email us, message us. We will take it into consideration and we will improve. And we're going to be able to help more people because you told us how to do something better.
Absolutely.
So feedback is welcome. Please tell us how to do better.
Yeah. So definitely when people get to, usually when things get started and you learn, about the process, and then maybe after like 2-3 years, you can look back and say, well, we started, we'll only do this, but now it's fine. We added this product, this service, and this service. And then based on, the results that things are, that you guys have seen. And at least in the years to come, I would really love to have a follow section and just to share, how the experiences, how have been the experiences in terms of, working with the students, providing the loan, and, just especially maybe people that have gone through the process, just coming to share their testimony and their experience. That's just to say, oh, we've passed through this process and it's working, which is, I'm really looking forward to that, looking forward to it.
Peter, I think about it every day. I can't wait until we have a bunch of Passage customers here. We can do community events, maybe host barbecues. I'm really excited to help people kind of thrive here and really do incredible things. I can't wait until, our first person has gone through Passage and they're building some incredible business. Or, they're building important railway tracks or infrastructure for Canada. I believe so strongly that if done right, this is such an incredible growth engine for Canada, but for also the individuals on the other side. And that win-win is I don't know, it really excites me.
Absolutely. So there's more and more questions, but as maybe people watch and have more questions, so I can always send you a follow-up question. And if we have a bunch of questions that need more clarifications that I don't have the answer, so I would definitely reach out to you and say they are bugging me and we need to kind of move something follow to get clear because I really wanted you to explain this, yourself. And people can say that it's not just me that is making up all of the story. So for people to sign up, there's gonna be a link in my description. So just visit the link, a special link created with Passage, and then yeah, just check out the link and just click on it, and then it's going to direct you on the process to sign up, and then all of the necessary steps. You just have to click on the link, okay? So don't worry about any other thing. And then as you click on the link and as you do all of the registration process, things get clearer, and you definitely have questions to ask. You can send them an email if there are things that are not clear. I'm also try to go to leave their contact details in the video description so that you go to reach out to them. So thank you so much, Bobby. This has been a very good way to start the year, and I'm really excited, about this opportunity that you guys are providing for international students and removing those financial barriers and just helping students achieve their dreams. I think that is amazing, and that is a very unique assignment and vision that you guys, have. So realize I know you are quite busy, so thank you so much for taking out this time to, come to this session. Just is there any last word for my subscriber? One or two sentences or so.
No, just a reminder that we are trying to do the right thing and we're trying to do something pretty hard. So please, whenever there's feedback of what we can do better, please let us know. That's amazing. And yeah, if you know people that are awesome that would love the opportunity but don't have the money, please feel free to think of sharing a link with them.
Uh,
I'm here for you anytime, Peter, and your audience.
yeah,
If any more questions, don't hesitate to reach out. You can call me anytime.
absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so much. And for those that haven't subscribed to my channel, do it to hit that subscribe button and also like this video and share with as many people as possible because it's a revolutionary idea that I think is going to be very transformative to a lot of people. So share, don't just watch alone. So share. And if you have specific questions, anything that is not clear, just put the question in the comment section and then just share whatever part of the video that interests you the most. And then, if you have specific calls or whatever, it might just put in the comment. Let's build that community so that I'll be able to also provide feedback to them. I said, this is what a lot of people are talking about. So thank you so much. I will see you guys in the next video. Cheers.